Alrighty, welcome back in. There is the famous Buddy Cianci. God bless him. How long has it been? A year?
Yeah, a little over a year. Right?
Well, it was the winter.
So a year and a half,
it's
probably.
a year and a half.
Yeah.
That he's passed. Dan McGowan, who writes all things Providence, and freelanced a little bit and put out this piece, which I think is very interesting. The question of the headline I think is fascinating. Is Providence still Crimetown? This is an East Side Monthly. Is it?
You know, I sort of went in, and you and I talk about this, from time to time. I sort of went into it thinking, that's a silly question.
What was the premise of writing it then?
Well, it was, obviously Crimetown was a very sort of a hot topic for the podcast itself was a very hot topic. And so we kind of went back and forth, the folks at Eastside Monthly, and they wanted that question answered. And again, my initial premise was the initial idea was, it's clearly not City Hall in Providence is not a criminal enterprise the way it was under, Buddy Cianci for a long time. But as I reported it out, and you talk to people like Peter Nerona or Arlene Violet, just residents of the city.
The former U.S. attorney and, of course, Attorney General.
They did not feel as confident about the city or the state itself. They said, they think the good side is people are a little more angry about corruption and that kind of stuff, but the idea that it's not happening is of course false. And you went back and I put this early on in this story. I mean, we've had one person, a politician, whether from the North Providence Council guys to the Speaker of the House a few years ago, one a year since Buddy Cianci was convicted, at least charged. Some are still going through the legal process. So
that begs the question: It's not a part of a network.
No,
but
no. Yeah.
But there's a lingering culture.
Yeah, and that culture is, and I didn't get into this in the story because I just sort of wanted to answer the question and kind of look at it and look at what's been happening, what people have tried to do. But if you really look at it, I mean, we do continue to elect. Gordon Fox was a great example. Gordon Fox was a guy who was ethically challenged back in the early 2000s. He had to pay an ethics fine, right? Now, is that a reason to knock you out?
At the time, it was one of the highest ever for a legislator, or the highest.
That's right. I think it was the highest. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And there's a guy who got reelected and reelected and reelected, Luis Aponte, Kevin Jackson, the leadership of the Providence City Council, for years reelected despite the fact that they weren't filing their campaign reports. Now, did we know that they were going to end up being charged with a crime? No, but that evidence was there that they were at least not doing something they were supposed to be doing.
It seems to me the more intimate the elected position with neighborhood, the more secure you are.
Yeah.
The less someone wants to step up and oppose somebody because they're ingrained, they've got that traction, they've got the equity, that kind of thing.
Yeah, right? I mean, remember, look, Gordon Fox, in 2012, running again, had everyone, Gina Raimondo, Angel Tavares, who was very popular at the time, knocking doors, going door to door for him to save his butt, really, in that tough re-election. Despite the fact that, a little while later, the State House got raided. Now, did they know that was going to happen? They didn't, but, I mean, there was a reason why people were running against him and lobbying allegations against him. They were out there, whether or not it was...
So why do we still have the culture?
I think there's a little bit of complacency. That was the sense that both Nerona and Arlene Violet thought, even though they said they thought the culture or the attitude towards it was maybe shifting. They said there's still, Arlene Violet had a great quote in there just about how we keep sending these people back to office. That's obviously a big part of it. And I think there just isn't a lot of real hardcore reporting and oversight over a lot of these guys, and I try my best, at least with the guys in Providence, but you miss things and you can't force them to
listen, there's no doubt that the resources in the press are lessening, not increasing, and without your kind of work we'd be in real trouble, you and Tim and Ted and that kind of work. But you know what, we do romance this stuff. We'll talk about it when we come back.
Yeah.
I think we have to have some honest conversation about how we romance corruption. This Crimetown series that's been pretty popular on the podcast. And by the way, it's been popular on a podcast. Heck, I was on vacation on the Cape, met up with a couple of guys I didn't know on the first tee. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? By the fourth hole, they're talking about the Crimetown stuff, and they were from way out of the region, so it caught fire
everywhere. Yeah,
their events post the series in Boston and Providence have been sold out. I spoke with them on the radio, yet to get them in here, the producers of Crimetown. But it gives me some pause, and the weirdness of that series, like all the players now are guests and doing a variety show, running a variety show. That's on right. It. Yeah. So the FBI guy and the state police guy and the bad guys are all sharing a stage now and kind of chumming about the old days. And I watched him and he watched me, and that doesn't help.
Right. Well,
it doesn't help. Nostalgia over bad behavior doesn't help going forward. It seems in real time we get upset about corruption, but as time passes, we look back on it fondly.
Yeah. I mean,
that's part of the dynamic.
The classic thing, right, in Providence, there's two major things that I hear somewhat regularly, which is when it comes to crime, you say, oh, it wasn't like this when Raymond Patriarca, the mob boss, was running the city. And then when people are mad about politics in the city, they say it wasn't like this when Buddy was the mayor. Well, yeah, it was, by definition, right?
Well, it wasn't like what?
That's the thing.
There's this sense of, it's the halo effect. You only remember what you want to remember about the past,
That's right.
But there's this sense that with strong leadership, whether it was squeaky clean or corrupt, or a combination of the two, that strong leadership brings some kind of order.
Right. And that's right. And people have selective memory. I mean, look, the numbers play it out. Crime in the city of Providence was worse in the 80s and the early 90s than it is today. Doesn't mean that there isn't crime today, right? I put this in the article. If your bike gets stolen today, it doesn't matter if your bike was more likely to get stolen 20 years ago, right? Like, no one cares in that context. But the facts play that out. The facts play out that under Buddy Cianci, the City Hall was more corrupt than it is today. Doesn't mean that there isn't shady stuff happening in City Hall today. I try my best every day to cover it and find that stuff out. But Mayor Lorza is not, to my knowledge, under federal investigation, which Buddy Cianci was from, as we're learning through FBI documents, from 1994 through the time that he was convicted. That's a long, long time for a federal investigation to play out. Now, you said something that's really interesting, and it's been the thing that I've been a little uncomfortable with watching, sort of this variety show that kind of has come out. Now, look, I like mob movies as much as the next guy, and I love sharing war stories. I mean, this business and this job of being a reporter, I spend a lot of time at bars around people who aren't the most savory characters always, who I may end up writing about at some point. That's source building. That is what it is. I don't know that I would celebrate them and take the stage with them for events that where people are profiting off of it. Remembering the good old days. Wasn't that good.
Right. It's the conundrum.
Yeah. Doesn't mean that
it becomes interesting. I mean, I've already interviewed the producers of Crimetown. I was fascinated. I was complimentary about the production value.
They were great. It was excellent.
It was excellent in the sense that it was good theater.
Yeah.
But in some ways, it really isn't even, it wasn't a frontline piece. It wasn't a dig deep and get answers
no.
It was in part, minimally a reflection and in part a celebration.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we still seem every month or quarter or year have elected types and those who support the elected system getting jammed up, because there's this like inbred type of fascination / celebration of being on the line or just over it.
Right. Yeah, I think there's like a certain level of edginess that maybe people kind of like, but I'll tell you, they don't like it when the person ends up in handcuffs. Like to watch the city of the Ward 3 on the east side of Providence recall Kevin Jackson by 90%. that was a real statement, a really stunning thing that happened. Not that I didn't think it was going to happen, but the outpouring and the organization it took to remove him from office. The thing that you just have to ask those guys, though, the people that recalled him, was you could have just run against him in 2014 or 2010 or 2006 or 2002, right? He was elected since 1995.
Well, recall was a statement.
Yeah, that was a huge
But
statement.
it has to be kind of right under their nose. It has to be proven. And
That's
all
right.
those kind of
And it has
things.
to happen in that neighborhood, which is more engaged, which cares a little bit more about sort of this stuff. Than it's not happening in Louis
So I
Saponte's
asked you
work.
the question from the headline, and we've had a good conversation about it. I'll ask you again: is Providence still Crimetown?
No, but I think there's still a lot of issues that the city has. So I'll hedge the bet.
It's a different version.
It just still has a lot of problems, I think. Yeah. And I'm going to keep
And the
trying
solution to the problem is what?
That's the other thing. No one really knows, right? If you make tougher campaign finance laws, if you do all the guys who are committing crimes, they're going to cover it up. I mean, that's the good. The people who are good at committing crime don't get caught, right? That's the point of it. And so I think it's hard to set any one law, but that's where voters should be held responsible. Voters should not. Peter Nerone said this. I thought it was a great point. He said, you get one chance to be an elected official, and you break an ethics law, you break the real law. Shouldn't do it.
It'd be interesting to see if Nerone becomes our Attorney General.
Sounds like he's going to run.
That's going to be fascinating.
Yeah.
Always great. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
All right, final word when we come back. Stay with us. Is kind of an age-old question, right? This whole corruption thing and our celebration of it, our fascination with it, is in part the perpetuation of it, don't you think? We'll see you again here tomorrow night, 7:30 and midnight, of course, and on the radio at 3 till 6 on WPRO. Honored that you watch each night. You do, don't you? Good night.